Today I'm going to make a simple bird call, and it's going to be based roughly on the Audubon Bird Call. You can get those for 10 or 12 bucks. This is based roughly on the same mechanics. Here's all the materials I'm going to be using, and I already made three test pieces to see which one works best. You can just use a scrap of hardwood, or maybe even pine, that would work. I have some hardwood branches from the yard, that'll work. For the metal piece, I'm using aluminum just because it's easy to work with. And these are two different sizes I'm testing out. I think this size, the larger size, is better. And this matches what the Audubon Call is typically like in diameter. You don't need this, but this is a knurling tool that will add knurling, which is this, to the piece. Just a little grip. You don't need to do that, but it's nice to have. And then some sort of thread. Again, the typical Audubon Call, there's a screw that goes through here that holds this in place so it can't, it's loose, but it can't fall out. For this, I'm just going to drill a hole like I've done here. I'm just going to drill a hole and use that string to connect the two pieces so they can't fall out. And it's also good to do test pieces because you can find out what doesn't work. I drilled the hole and I was trying to force the aluminum piece in there and it split, and I actually did it twice. So doing test pieces helps you find out what doesn't work. So let's get started. Picking the right drill bit, you want it a little bit smaller than the aluminum you're using. So I picked this one right here. Then just sanding to knock down these edges. So we have our two wood pieces roughed out and drilled. Now to make the striker, the metal piece. And from our test, this one was about 1.25 inches. About an inch, 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches is fine. I put a second mark here where the knurling is going to be. And here's the knurling tool. It has two bottom wheels and one top wheel. Tightly together and rotate. Do a couple turns around it. And it's nice with this aluminum, you don't have to do it very hard. Then just use a hacksaw, cut to length. So I'm going to get the rough shape using a drill and the grinding wheel. Then I'm going to finish it up on the strip sander. But I'm going to use the grinding wheel. This will rotate, and I'm just going to shape that rounded edge. Now we're going to go to the strip sander, polish it up, and get it even better shape. So now we have our pieces roughed out, and this is where we want to get a really tight fit. Right now, this hole is not the same size as this aluminum piece. So I'm going to turn this drill on, try to drill into it. There's a chance it will split like these. So that is a possibility. Now it's all about getting the right texture inside of this opening here. The real Audubon Calls use talc or some type of dry rosin powder. One thing I found that helps is taking a lighter and burning the inside. So getting all that soot on the inside there seems to really help. You want nice dry pieces of wood to get that squeak sound. Now this one's a little bit harder, drilling in through the aluminum. Make sure you use a lot of cutting fluid. Once it's all cooled off, you could take a metal file and kind of get these burrs right here off. And the last thing is to take some heavy thread or light string and tie it all together. So a couple things to note. One is when you're using this drill and you have the striker in the drill and you're boring out this hole, the aluminum is going to get hot and it's going to expand. So when it cools down, it's actually not going to be a tight fit, and it probably won't squeak right away, like right now. That's because when I was boring that out, the aluminum was expanding. Now that it's cool, the fit is not as tight. So there's two things you can do. One is, again, take that lighter and burn the inside. And two is to take a Sharpie and actually color the end of that striker tip. It's a little better. I can start here squeaking. Another tip, once you do the Sharpie, you can see where it's actually rubbing on the wood. Ideally, you want it rubbing evenly over that striker. You can see I'm only rubbing up here on this top edge. So the other tip is put some sawdust or even metal shavings on this striker and try it again. Kind of dip it in the metal shavings like that. And after a few minutes, you'll hear it really start to bite in and grab the side. There we go. Now it's really... Another thing I forgot to mention is you can do some boiled linseed oil and some wax to really preserve it.